All right, good afternoon. This is Wednesday, June 18th at 12:32. Welcome to the Colorado Department of Ag Commission meeting. I'm Colleen Pepler. I serve as chair for this meeting. At this time, I'd like to introduce Diego and Yasmin that will go through the translation process.
Great. Thank you, Colleen. Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear my audio okay. I'll give the instructions in English and in Spanish. Así que comienzo con las instrucciones en inglés y luego en español. Diego Pons here today with my colleague Jasmine from the CLC. We're going to continue using simultaneous interpretation for your meeting today in English and Spanish here on Zoom. Once I finish giving the instructions in both languages, we start the interpretation. At that moment, you'll see a globe icon that's going to appear in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer screen. That globe icon will say interpretation. I'll ask you to select that globe icon and to please choose your preferred language. And if you happen to be joining the meeting today on your cell phone or your tablet, you'll instead be looking for the More button or the 3 dots button, which will allow you to select your preferred language this other way if you're joining on one of those 2 devices. If you're not fully bilingual, I'll strongly encourage you to select your preferred language so that you can use the interpretation whenever someone's going to be speaking in the opposite language. If you are bilingual, then at that point, you can just feel free to listen to everyone in the original language. As always, just please pay attention to the speed in which you're speaking. If you're speaking at this pace, you're going at a great speed for us, so no worries about that. Just please make sure you don't pick up your reading speed whenever you're reading something from your computer screen or a sheet of paper. So thank you so much for that. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Mi nombre es Diego Pons. Estoy aquí hoy con mi colega Jasmine de parte del CLC. Gracias por tenernos hoy en su reunión, donde vamos a continuarnos a involucrarnos a participar en la interpretación simultánea aquí en Zoom en inglés y en español. Cuando yo termine de dar esas instrucciones, vamos a activar el icono globo de la Tierra que irá a interpretación. Ese icono globo de la Tierra va a aparecer allá abajo en la derecha de su pantalla. Por favor, elija ese icono globo de la Tierra que irá a interpretación y seleccione su idioma preferido al hacer eso. Pero si hoy usted está asistiendo a la reunión en su celular o en su tableta, por favor busque la opción que dice More, que quiere decir más, o posiblemente el botón de 3 puntos que le permitirá elegir su idioma preferido de esta otra manera. Si usted no es completamente bilingüe, le vamos a aconsejar que elija su idioma preferido para que pueda utilizar la interpretación cuando alguien está hablando en el otro idioma. Y si usted sí es bilingüe, siéntase libre de escuchar a todos hoy en su idioma original. Muchas gracias.
Great. Thank you, Diego. So I will call this meeting to order for today, and I'd like to do a roll call of the commission members. Simon Martinez.
Present.
Catherine Bedell.
Here.
David Block.
Present.
Jeffrey McCullough.
Present.
Sorry. Roberto Meza. Elena Miller. Harrison Top.
Present.
Nick Trainer.
Present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum for this meeting, to hold this meeting, so thank you very much. First item on the agenda is to approve of today's meeting agenda. You should have all received it, and I will entertain a motion to accept the meeting agenda for today.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you, David. Do I have a second?
This
I'll
is Catherine. I'll second.
Thank you, Catherine. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Proceeding none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of accepting today's meeting minutes or meeting agenda, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Meeting agenda is approved for today. Second thing is you've received the main meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the main meeting?
This is Catherine. I move that we accept the minutes from our May Agricultural Commission meeting.
Thank you, Catherine. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Nick.
Thank you, Nick. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion, corrections, or additions to May's meeting minutes? Okay, proceeding to hear none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of accepting May meeting minutes, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, May meeting minutes are approved. We are now at the point of the agenda for public comment. Ari, please let me know if there's anyone in the queue to address the Ag Commission. And just a reminder, comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual.
We don't have anyone in queue for public comment.
All right, thank you, Ari. Okay, moving on. Commissioners report. Kate.
Great, thank you, Colleen. And great being with everyone today. I'm calling in from Steamboat Springs on my way out to Northwest Colorado today. So I'll just have a brief update. Want to fill you in on where we are on highly pathogenic avian influenza. As you all know, we have just phenomenal leadership with Dr. Baldwin and our assistant state veterinarian, Dr. McCarty. So they are both just taking the lead on every aspect of high path AI, just like they've done the last 3 years in poultry. Some of the latest updates for you all to know, our state effort and the federal effort are really focused on voluntary testing and trying to understand what the landscape can look like on a voluntary testing program. So we're working with both industry on the commercial side and engaging our raw milk producers as well to just collaborate on how we move forward on this. Of course, we're conscientious of our colleagues on the public health side, all of the considerations they have to take into account. We are seeing an uptick in cases here in Colorado. That could be from a number of reasons. Certainly, we think more folks are looking for clinical signs and finding them. But that's an important element, and I hope you all carry the message that this is a reportable disease, and if folks do see clinical signs in their herds, to please call their herd veterinarian, and their herd vets will call us. We've just had great collaboration since the beginning of this, so I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially our dairies out there who have been partners through and through. We intend to stay in that same position, partnering and being very transparent, what we know, what we don't know. We have had some reported illness in humans in Colorado. You've probably seen the typical symptoms are the same that we've seen in the previous human cases in Texas and in the Midwest, which is primarily conjunctivitis, so a lot of irritation of the eye. As far as I know, those individuals have recovered, but as you well know, public health continues to keep very strong tabs on the human cases that we see, and we work closely with public health on that as well. We are also getting fair guidance out as we are in fair season or just at the precipice of it. Our guidance is going to be taking precautions. We are not at this point in time putting any restrictions on fairs for what to show or not show. We have had to do that in the past with poultry when we've had rabbit hemorrhagic disease. So we have had to take those actions, but right now our guidance is certainly pre-movement testing within 7 days of moving to fairs, a lot of biosecurity, and then just monitoring herds during and after fairs as well. So really asking our fair organizers to take this seriously, to help get the message out about biosecurity and the importance of monitoring herds. But we really want to leave it up to fair organizers. We don't feel at this time we need restrictions on that. So if any of you are working with your county fair or getting questions, we will make sure that guidance gets out here soon. Dr. Baldwin is just working with individual kind of stakeholder groups on this work as we roll it out. So we'll make sure everybody has that information. But that's where we stand today. So we'll just keep monitoring, keep doing what we're doing, but we get regular feedback from our federal partners that Colorado is just doing an amazing job handling this, and that's a testament to our animal health team and to our partnerships. Last week I was out in Middle Park, Kremling area, as well as Winter Park for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission meeting. We also had staff up in Walden and North Park, so we continue to work alongside our Parks and Wildlife colleagues on wolf reintroduction and building our non-lethal conflict reduction program. We actually hired our program manager for that just about a couple weeks ago. So Dustin Shiflett is joined us as our non-lethal conflict reduction program manager. He's done a fantastic job already. He actually worked for CDA as the West Slope regional coordinator for our conservation districts, and had over 16 years of experience at Parks and Wildlife on the park side. Livestock producer himself, lives on the Western Slope, just going to be a great asset for ag and for CDA out in the field, working with our livestock communities. And just want to say thank you to our CPW friends and colleagues. There's been obviously just a lot going on. It's a tough time on the Western Slope in a lot of places. We're just continuing to show up every day. We're continuing to work with Middle Park on extending and expanding their grant for range riding. We're in touch with North Park on the same, really any non-lethal tool they want to put into place. So that work, as I briefed you on before, continues. We are very close to building out that second program I've mentioned, which is more of the proactive approach. So communities that haven't had a depredation but want to be putting resources into planning, mitigation, fladry, range riding, you name it, we want to be able to support our livestock communities in taking that on. So just know that CDA, we're just going to keep showing up, keep partnering, keep being out in the field with the folks most impacted. But certainly we're doing a lot of listening as well, and just really trying to understand the impact that folks are facing, and also the tools that are working, not working, when they work, when they don't. How can we be adaptable, flexible, and a responsive agency in this time and moving forward. Last week, and actually yesterday, Secretary Vilsack was in town. He was out in Harrison and Catherine's neck of the woods on Friday, announcing the grant recipients for the Farm Labor Stabilization and Protection Program, of which we have at least one recipient on our commission. So congrats, Harrison, on that. Really excited to hear what you're planning to do on that one. But that's just a huge boon to our work on supporting ag workers and labor across the state. So really excited about that. The secretary chose Colorado. And then yesterday I was with the secretary out in Larimer County at the Poudre Valley REA, Rural Electric Association, and he was announcing close to $100 million in grants for 2 Colorado REAs. And this also touches Harrison's world, as Delta Montrose Electric Association got a huge sum of money. So Harrison, maybe you can update us in your commissioner's update about all the resources flowing to the Western Slope. But congrats to you and Station being part of really big investment in Colorado.
Thanks. I'll text Station, ask what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
That's always a good plan. So with that, we're just continuing to focus on bringing federal resources here to the state. So these last few announcements were just really exciting projects that will have investments for many years to come. We're continuing to expand and advance our international work. As you know, we've been working with the UK for quite some time on an agreement just to continue to expand our business together. They actually have elections coming up, so we're kind of giving a little pause on that front, but we're continuing the relationships on the ground. We actually had an inbound mission to Colorado just about a week or two ago, really looking at co-packing, how we can bring UK businesses to Colorado to do manufacturing and processing here, and then do the same for our businesses abroad. So really trying to push that model as a way to expand value-added business opportunities at home and abroad. And we're actually doing the same now with the Netherlands. We had a great mission out there last year and just welcomed some members of the Embassy and State Department to Colorado a few weeks ago. They are interested, just like the UK, in our work in supporting Next Gen, our work on climate, our work on animal welfare. Really, we went down the list of the changes and the growth happening in Colorado agriculture. And I can't tell you how consistently our trading partners say, wow, that is exactly what we're looking for, what our buyers are looking for, what our consumer base is looking for. We want to talk about how to expand business with you all. We're also talking about how to expand training for young people. That's something that a lot of our partners have been interested in. So just so you know, we're keeping the ball moving on both those fronts. Lastly, in wrapping up, next week I'll be out in Burlington with Senator Bennett, who's hosting a Senate field hearing. So Robert Sakata and I will be testifying out there, and maybe we'll see some of you if our calendars allow, or especially your schedules. And then I'm actually leaving today for our second annual Green River trip with the Park Service. So this is the trip Catherine was on last year. Catherine, thanks for being our inaugural Ag Commission member on the float trip. But this is a really neat partnership that we've had with the Park Service and our Palisade Insectary for a long, long time. We do biocontrol bug releases and the Dinosaur National Monument. We, of course, also do beneficial insect releases for landowners across the state. So we're bringing state legislators, members of the ag community, water leaders, and folks from the Park Service, as well as our team, out for 3 days together to really talk about landscape scale conservation, release beneficial insects on the riparian corridor, and just really strengthen our partnerships between ag and conservation all around. So that will be through the rest of the week. And Colleen, that's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Great. Thank you, Kate. And if you note, Jordan did put in the chat box the fair guidance documentation for your information. Also would like to acknowledge that Commission member Elena Miller joined us at 12:40. So welcome, Elena. Ari, I might want to let you know that I think Nick is in the attendees. So if we can roll her over somehow, so she can be part of the regional assistant commission updates, which we are going to move to next. Riley, I'm going to let you start. Can you give us an update?
All righty, Colleen, thank you. Yeah, an update for me is going to be brief as usual, typical for me, but here in the Southeast and Eastern Plains in general, I think that the chopping of the forage harvesting of the spring crop is, I think, 99% done. Moving into the end of first cutting alfalfa right now. It's getting wrapped up here in the valley and actually starting to see some combines around harvesting wheat. The weather has been extremely unpredictable and some unusual winds down here. It's been extremely hot the last couple of days and very windy. Looking at a chance of moisture the next couple of days and hoping for that again. We have had some sporadic storms and brought some good moisture to certain isolated places, and that's been nice. The hail has so far stayed away for the most part. I as well hope to be in Burlington next week with Senator Bennett's group and attend there. Other than that, I don't have any other updates. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you, Riley. It's good to hear from you. Looks like George is on vacation and Joe is busy with meetings. So there we got Nick. There she is. Great. All right. So Nick, can you give us an update in your area, please?
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. Well, it's been hot here. Very, very hot. We've been pushing 92 to about 102 for the last 2 weeks. We're at pandemic levels of grasshoppers. Most producers are saying that there's not even a strong enough pesticide at this point. So it's been kind of difficult. We're battling the crusties when it comes to the ground and irrigation because it's so hot. We have been getting moisture that's fallen from the sky, which has been nice, but that heat is definitely not happening. Everyone this way is definitely finished up on first cuttings of alfalfa for sure. We're moving into the harvesting of squash. So a lot of that's getting loaded on trucks as of late. What else is going on? This Thursday, we have a county drought meeting for drought planning, which we're really excited about, that we've been working on through the extension office. And it looks like we have a large number of attendees that will be there. So that's exciting because we all need support in those efforts with what's going on with water. But other than that, I think we're all just trucking away. I'm going to be on the call to listen. I'm about to go into actual transplanting as it's a water day today for me on farm. And we're probably going to get some rain because that's what usually happens. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys right now.
Great, Nick. Thank you. Thank you for those updates from both of you. Legislation, policy, and budget updates from Jordan.
Thanks, Colleen. And just one other update kind of from some of the work that Joe's been doing. She's been attending a lot of meetings with CDA staff regarding wolves over the past week or so. And so she's been putting a lot of miles in for us. And then also next Monday, she's hosting a 6-hour Ag 101 training for new CPW field staff. So that's going to be the first training that she's doing with that. And so she's very excited to be putting that on, and we're very excited to be helping out CPW and getting some of their newer staff that don't have any experience working with ag producers, at least a basic background before they go out in the field. See some other updates. As part of Senate Bill 55 that passed this year, the department is putting together the Agricultural Behavioral Health Community Practice Work Group. It's a mouthful. But we have asked Robert Sakata to lead up this effort on behalf of CDA. So he's going to be kind of taking the charge on the mental and behavioral health work going forward. We anticipate putting out applications for that new work group here in July. So when we do that, we'll get that out to you, and would appreciate all of you helping spread the word about the positions that are available for that work group. The business operations team is very busy right now, working leading up to year end. This is one of the busy times of year for all of them, and so they're putting in lots of hours and time. So I just want to acknowledge all of their work as we're heading into the end of June, which is the last month of the fiscal year for the state. We are also really just beginning our work on developing our budget and legislative proposals for next year. That process, just to kind of remind all of you, really takes place over the summer into the fall. And so right now we're at that kind of brainstorming phase. Last meeting, I gave you an update on everything that passed last session, and asked you all to start, putting on your thinking caps. And if you have any ideas, to reach out to me. That still stands. So if you have ideas, please do reach out to me. This is the time to be doing that. Again, as we go over the summer, we're going to be kind of refining those proposals. And then, once we get a sense of direction on where we're going to be heading as an agency and as an administration, we start doing more kind of public stakeholder work in the fall time frame. This year, we are anticipating a very tight budget. So again, not anticipating any significant budget requests from the department beyond kind of critical needs for us, and that's going to likely extend to everything else we're going to see this coming session. There's just not funds to go around anymore, and so we're not going to see the type of new programs and spending that we've seen really for the past 4 years or so. Let's see, in addition to kind of doing some of that.
Hey, Jordan.
Yep.
Sorry, would you mind elaborating on the data that's informing the idea that we won't have a lot of state budgets this year?
Yeah, largely it's a Tabor issue. So the revenues that are coming into the state, still are exceeding what the state is expending. However, the state has essentially hit those Tabor limits, and so the additional revenue that's coming in per the Constitution has to go back to taxpayers via Tabor refunds. So that's the challenge with the budget, is that we've already hit that upper growth limit. So essentially, in order to grow, or spend more money on a program, we have to find another program to cut back.
But isn't that why we were so tax credit hungry this year, was because tax credits helped defer the Tabor limit? And will that be the case again next year?
Yeah, so that's exactly right. That's why there was a big rush on tax credits this past year, is because we had really started reaching that limit. And so one additional way to push policy without directly expending funds as the state is to implement tax credits, which essentially reduce the income or the revenue coming into the state and put that back out to very specific purposes through those tax credits. So the reason why we had put forward 4 tax credits last year was we anticipated that rush. We anticipated last year was going to be the year where a lot of the decisions were made around tax credits for the next, for the foreseeable future. There was, I think it was several $1 billion worth of tax credits proposed last year. A lot of those didn't go through, but essentially what happened at the legislature was there was kind of a larger negotiation to say, okay, here's the amount we're willing to reduce TABOR refunds to spend on specific tax credits. And the rest of that, we want to see go back to taxpayers through those TABOR refunds. So with that, I do anticipate there will be some tax credit proposals next year, maybe a couple that move through. Nothing like we saw last year, though.
Well, I'll mention it here just for note-taking sake that we should explore proposing a tax credit based on ag employers that look broadly at ag employers and create some standards for employment considerations, like similar. We could look at what the FLSP did, participation in a social responsibility program agreement to do some sort of fair and unionization, things like that. So just an idea to look at that for tax credits moving forward.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and we've actually had some conversations really over the past 2 years with Rocky Mountain Farmers Union about kind of that concept. Specifically, kind of the conversation started when the overtime provisions of Senate Bill 87 really started kicking in, and we heard from producers and some producer groups kind of a desire to look at that, and so that's something that's been on the table for a couple of years, and we'll continue to look at that.
Yes. Thanks. That's my. I didn't start that question anticipating pitching you on that idea, but that's where I went. So thanks.
No, I appreciate it. So, great. Then just quickly on the federal level, the House had their markup of their version of the Farm Bill at the end of May. CDA worked with Representative Caraveo, who's on the committee, and her staff, as well as Caraveo held a meeting with a lot of different representatives from the ag world to get their input prior to that committee hearing. In that committee hearing, she ultimately did vote yes on the House version of that bill. On the Senate side, the Senate Republicans have rolled out their version. The Senate Democrats have kind of put their outline of what their version would look like out there. However, looking at the schedule moving forward, knowing that it's an election year, I think at this point the possibility of another extension seems very likely to me. But we'll again keep a focus on that, and now with kind of action anticipated in the Senate side, again, we're keeping in close contact with Senator Bennett's staff as he's on that committee as well. One other update kind of on the federal realm. Earlier this year, we put forward a request to our delegation for congressionally directed spending, specifically for the State Fair Sam Brown Family Pavilion. Our federal delegation has decided to move that forward in the process, and so we're very thankful for them for doing that. This would be a $2 million contribution to that capital effort there. Again, it's got a long way to go, but it made it through that kind of first hurdle. So we're again appreciative of our federal delegation for doing that. So those are my updates, and happy to answer any questions folks have.
Great. Thank you, Jordan. Moving on to operations update with Madison and Kate.
Yeah, thanks, Colleen. I'll hand it over to Madison. Madison's been doing just an amazing job just in her first few months at CDA, and really, really lucky to have her. And just want to give a shout out to our team for filling in whenever we need. Just so you know, our focus is continuity at the department, and having Madison on board has really allowed for that, as we just have some folks out over the summer, and I am able to rely on Madison now as well to keep things running back on the home front. So I'll hand it over to Madison for her update.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your very kind words. So good afternoon, everyone. Some updates following our last meeting. So at the last meeting, Brian Copham from our markets division presented on some rulemaking that we were going to be having a hearing on for the Ag Future Loan Program. That rule hearing happened last Friday. We had no public comments submitted. We also had no other additional attendees. And so the red line version will be coming to you for the July 10th board meeting for your review and recommendation to the commissioner. The other rule that we presented in draft was for the produce safety rule. The rule hearing for that was held yesterday. We also had no additional comment on that, so we will be bringing that one forward as a red line version for your review and recommendation for the commissioner at the July 10th meeting. So both Brian and Dwayne will be briefly presenting the changes, none of the changes that were proposed because there weren't any, but they'll be going over a reminder of here's what the rules were, and we are looking for your recommendation to the commissioner. And so that will happen at the next board meeting. Now, the other thing that we talked about at our last meeting were we are seeking participants for our 2 advisory committees that we need reviewers on. So thank you to Chair Pepler for helping out with the pesticide advisory committee. We were able to move those forward. We are still seeking individuals who can help with the hemp advisory committee reviews. Right now, we have 1 commission member who has expressed interest in that review committee. And so to do this, that would be through the Google form that Ari has shared out with you. So if you can just go in and make sure that you have provided the information around if you can help out with the hemp advisory committee. Those applications did close yesterday. So now is the time where we can start moving on those. And we also have another question in that Google form, which is there are future appointments that might need to be reviewed, not directly recommended from this commission, but if you would like to have involvement, we also want to collect your interest for those. And those are things like our Soil Health Advisory Committee, PACVA Advisory Committee, and the Aquaculture Board, and a few more. So just one final reminder to go in and fill out that form whenever you have time. And then we will get you connected to our program managers who are going to be supporting the reviews for those. And if you have any other questions, please let me know.
All right. Thank you. So I think Ari shared that Google form again for anyone to go on, and looking for, you have a commission member for the hemp advisory board, is that correct? To review?
I am looking for 2 commission members,
okay.
and right now I have 1 who has expressed interest. Yes.
Okay, so if there's one other that would be willing to give a little time to review over those applications, that's great. Just fill out that form that Ari has shared with you in the chat. That would be great. Any other updates for us on operations? No. Great. Well, we're just clicking right along here. So we're at the point now where we can discuss, we can have a discussion on any of the CDA priorities that either have been presented today or have not been presented. I'll just share with you some notes that I've jotted down, just kind of spur your thoughts. But obviously the high path I is high on the forefront. The Western Slope, the CPW, The Burlington trip sounds like that'll be a great thing to report back to us. And then the budget and the legislative goals, I think Harrison brought up some great views there. Tax credits and the farm bill. Any discussions on any of CDA's priorities that the commission would like to take forth today? I'm practicing my teaching pause. Great. Anyone?
Hey, sorry, I did just have an idea.
Okay, Harrison.
Not an idea. Follow up with Jordan. Jordan, is there what's the news on the a possible ballot initiative to backfill for the farm to school funding? Is that in the works? What's shaken in that department?
I actually don't know the status of that. I'm happy to look into it. I know, Roberto's not on here. He would probably know. Kate, have you heard anything? No. Yeah. Sorry, I'll ask around, and if I hear something, I'll get back to you.
Any other discussions today? All right. Well, moving on, I think we're supposed to have Bethany, but we're really ahead of the schedule, so she may not be aware. And I don't see Courtney on either, do I?
I'll chat Courtney really quickly.
Okay. We could go and take a couple commission updates while we're waiting, if you would like to. I think I'm going to start with David and Nick, because I know you guys have been dealing with ugly weather, and my thoughts have been out in Eastern Colorado a lot in phone calls. So David, I'm going to ask if you want to give an update, and you take as long as you want, because yeah, I'm sure you have a lot to report.
Well, hello, everybody. Give me a second here. Got to pay attention to my tractor driving as well. But yes, we've had quite the experiences going on out here this spring. Actually, it was a month ago yesterday that we had that large hailstorm that took out several thousand acres of crops around here, Washington, Yuma County. Jumped on over into Nebraska. And actually, on a little side note, that same storm that went through here that evening hit Iowa that next morning, and unfortunately it took out a little town in Iowa. I think it started with an A, I forget the name of it, but actually there were some tragic events there, and actually some people were killed. But that was the exact same storm that went through here. Fortunately, in Colorado, or here in our county, nobody was hurt, no reported injuries, but lots of crops, lots of homes. It affected two of the largest towns in Yuma County, Yuma and Ray, and some of the others as well. But they're both populations are about 3,500 to 3,800. So there was hardly any homes spared. With that being said, took out windows, roofs, any kind of plastic things, vinyl fences, obviously did damage to gardens and trees. Some people think they may even have lost their trees. It just peeled everything down to the bark in places, cedar, evergreen trees, deciduous trees, crops. There were significant amount of acres of sugar beets that were lost. Fortunately, the edible beans hadn't been planted yet. Otherwise, I'm sure it would have got those as well. And yet, at the same time, it's kind of ironic. There's places that are really suffering for drought again in the area. where that storm went through, there was pretty big rains with the hail. So they're kind of okay, but wheat crops were totally 100% hailed out. Corn crops, fortunately the growing point was still below the ground for the most part. However, the hail and the strong rains that came did wash some of the crop out, and the rain and hail came so fast and hard that it piled up and pooled up, and some of the bottom ground wasn't able to take the moisture very fast, soak it up, I guess, if you will. So there were even a lot of drowned out spots. And in our neck of the woods with our soils, a lot of those places are our best soils, and that's where our best yields would have been. So it was too late to plant sugar beets, pre-plant sugar beets. So that'll go to a different crop depending on what people can do. The corn crop pretty well was just left the way it was, and it will be, there was some spot planting in there to try to cover up some of those bare spots after it dried up enough to get in there with the machinery. We're also getting ready for what wheat will be left. Here in a couple of weeks, we'll be possibly cutting wheat, harvesting wheat. That beans are just getting finished up as far as planting. So that's looking pretty good. We've got some heat lately, and beans love the heat. So if the crop could come up there, it'll be good. The sugar beets that did make it through everything are looking pretty good as well. And again, also the corn crop that didn't go through the hail, it's decent too. There were actually some animals that got killed in that hailstorm. One family lost their entire herd of goats. There were a couple of horses that were injured severely enough that they had to be taken care of. Some cattle also in that, and it bruised, a lot of bruising, and actually and things out in the pasture actually totally mowed clear to the ground.
You're breaking up on us a little bit, David.
Let's see, potatoes.
Hang on a second, David, we've lost you. David, can you unmute?
Oh, there we go. Okay,
There we
I didn't
go.
realize it. I didn't
Thank
realize
you.
it muted. Must have went through a bad spot.
Yeah, that's why I thought a little spot or something, huh?
Yes. I guess you can probably, I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going by a beautiful cornfield right now. I'm just in the process of moving my tractor to another field. I'm going to be cultivating a field here pretty soon. But this cornfield here to my left looks pretty good, right through this area. Kind of not sure where I got cut off, but we, let's see here. I'm trying to look at a few notes too. Oh yeah, there's a lot of mites starting to come out too, and grasshoppers. We too are in a pandemic area, and it's just getting worse every year. The planes are trying to spray when they can to help us out, but native pasture lands, and they're coming into their crops on the edge of the fields. It's just unreal. I think they say an economic point of return on the grasshoppers is like 7 per square yard. We're starting to see 7 per square foot. And actually, there's occasional times you can almost see that many per square inch. It is just unreal. They are all sizes. So that's a real big concern right now as well. I think I've got most of my notes here. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend last week the Republican River District, hosted the South Platte River Basin members and had a dinner, as well, and a meeting. And, I was able to attend that and saw Mr. Robert Sakata. So it was great to have some communications going there. And, I also, have on my agenda to try to attend, Senator Bennett's, deal this next week in Burlington. So I believe that's everything on our side. Just fast and furious right now with the crops and taking care of cattle.
All right, thanks, David. I'm amazed that you guys are cutting wheat already, but I guess it is middle into June, so yeah, that's good. Glad you guys survived. If you were watching TV, the hotel that we stayed at when we were out there the week before, it did get stripped up on the side. Kent was out there just a few weeks ago, and he said he stayed there, and he said it was still nice inside, but the outside looked pretty rough. So, Nick, I'm going to let you go next because I'm not sure. Have you had the same kind of weather or craziness?
You know what, Colleen, we've been, La Nina has spared us. We have had about normal precipitation and have not had any of the terribly extreme stuff. And knock on wood, we don't have any grasshoppers yet. So, it's a rarity that a rancher doesn't have anything to complain about, but I don't think I have anything to complain about. I am hearing an awful lot of reports from around the state. Northern Colorado is extremely dry. I think spotty is kind of the best definition of it. Either you're in it or you're not. And fortunately we're in it, but I'm hearing a lot of reports of some pretty severe drought. And the interesting thing, I glanced at the drought monitor this morning, and it is just not, it's not picking it up. I know several guys that are, they've been in, they haven't received any moisture up around the Grover area and east of there. They haven't received any moisture all spring. So, that's definitely a concern. I think we probably all are getting ready to see some pretty nasty drought conditions in Colorado. So, I've actually got somebody coming up to my door calling. Could I, give me 1 second. I got guys knocking on my office door here real quick.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Nick, and let you finish up, okay? Let's see, where can I go? Simon.
Okay. Quickly, here in Southwest Colorado, we did get some rain last Friday that hit the farm, which was good. We're expecting a little bit of rain this weekend. We've got quite the haze this morning. I think it's from the Ruidoso fire to the south. Nick, you want to go ahead and finish and then I'll start?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. They weren't going to go away. So
that's all right.
Weather's very spotty. Other big things on my list, good and bad. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss the July in-person meeting, but we've got the Colorado State Land Board was able to get Burke Tykert, who, if you don't know, is like world-renowned ranch manager, consultant, and they scheduled him for a 3-day adaptive grazing management seminar on the ranch here. So that's pretty exciting, and looks like about 30 people are signed up. So going to be really cool to have him here. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to miss our in-person meeting in July, but I kind of got to be here if we're hosting. So let's see. I helped Cindy Lair. I was on a selection committee for recommendations for the Soil Health Committee. I think we came up with some really good candidates for Kate to pull from, and I think she went ahead and went with those recommendations. Is that right, Kate? That was a fun process, and I think we got some good people to fill the open seats on that on that chair or on that board. So I think that's about all I've got.
Okay, I'll continue. Thanks,
That's
Nick.
good.
No, I was saying earlier that we've got a lot of haze in the area. I believe it's from the fires down in Rio Doso that they're dealing with right now to the south of us. We had a few visitors here in the last couple of weeks. Some visitors from Colorado College out of Colorado Springs had stopped by, and also last week the Colorado Ag Leadership Program paid us a visit, which was nice to be able to visit with them. And I believe Joe Stanko is going to be with us next week. She's going to stop in and we're going to visit for a while. So it'll be good to see her. On the cattle end, they've done well through the winter. They're starting to head up to the summer grazing permit ground. They wintered very well here on the project, and they're starting to move up to the high country as we speak by the semi-load. So that's going well. The irrigation department, they're doing their job on all the crops. We're running them 80 to 90 CFS average. So they're doing a good job. We just found out recently that we got our full water allocation, I believe, last week. So that'll help all the farmers in the area with their water needs. On the farming department end, it's going well. I think we had talked about, I heard someone say they were finishing up their first cutting. Our first cutting was done, and we're well into our second, believe it or not. It's a good year so far. We averaged well over 2 tons of the acre on our first cutting. And so we're shipping a lot of hay right now. So that's going well. The swathing and the raking, the baling, the stacking and the loading, they're doing a really good job keeping up and getting the water back on. If things go well, I don't know what Mother Nature will bring, but we're hopeful for 5 cuttings this year on our alfalfa, which will be nice after the last few years we've had down here in Southwest Colorado. The wheat, we're a couple weeks away. I heard the same thing earlier. I think it was David. It's in the dough stage right now, and it looks really well. And the majority of it, we can get it, the protein and the test weight and the moisture content up. I think it'll go all local here to the Cortez Flour Mill, to their business. So that'll be good. The corn, we were right in the middle of Dammer Daikin. So once we do that and put some fertilizer on it, it sure takes off. And it's true knee high by the 4th of July. So we're about there, and nothing to speak of as far as any bug issues right now, which is good for us. So we're just rolling right along, watering up the corn, and so far it looks good. On the oats, we'll be cutting some oats right after our second cutting. We've got a few that have some wheat issues in them, but the majority of the oats look good. So I'm hopeful on that oat harvest. On the operations end, we are complete with our micro hydros on number 4 and 5. And we're getting ready to commission those with our TSP rep, and the USDA and NRCS will come out and commission those. And we're in the final stages of being able to start up on the final 5 on block 3000 block. Bow and Arrow brand, they're doing well with the existing customers and new customers that are coming on board. We had our unexpected visit with our inspector for the level 2 SQF food chain ID audit. It went well. Of course, they found a few things we need to take care of, but we passed, and we're good for another year. So it's always interesting. You never know when they're going to show up, and the day you don't expect them to, they're here. But it went well. I think that's about it. As far as down here, the weather's been warm finally in the low 90s, and I think it's going to get warmer as we move forward. But that's about all that's going on down here in Southwest Colorado.
Thank you, Simon.
You're welcome.
Let's see. How about Jeff?
Sorry, I get unmuted and get my video on here. Yeah, things in the valley are really looking nice. Fortunately, our weather has just been beautiful. Just typical sunny, warm days, cool nights, just ideal. So really feel for David up in the Yumi area with the bad weather that they've been having. As far as the potato crop is looking really nice. Things are coming along really well. We're maybe 5 to 7 days ahead of where we were last year. So we're looking at more of kind of a normal year this year. As far as the supply of the potatoes, it's still really, really strong, which is causing the price to just continue to drop week after week. We're just seeing lower returns every week with really no end in sight there. So we're looking at carrying potatoes over from this crop season into the next crop season, especially if we keep on the same trend that we're on. So we're looking at to not start out the year very good. First cutting of alfalfa is starting this week. Guys, the hay farmers were talking about just really good first cutting here. But with the cutting, the aphids come off of the alfalfa, and so that spreads disease in the potato crop. So we're already seeing higher than normal aphid levels. So we're concerned about that as well. As far as the river runoff goes, the river runoff is essentially done, and we're already seeing aquifer levels start to drop because of the pumping. It's just been a heavy pumping year with very little moisture here in the valley. Some other things, I hosted a grad student CSU tour a couple weeks ago, and just all ag-based students, grad students, and they were a really good group. We ran them through the packing shed, and a lot of them had really good questions and really good dialogue, and a lot of them were kind of interested in the STAR program and soil health program. So it was fun to be able to convey what we're doing at the CDA with them. So yeah, and then as far as the July meeting goes, we're really looking forward to hosting everybody, and I think we've got some good tours planned and some good visits. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing everybody in July that can make it. So thank you, Colleen.
Thank you, Jeff. Catherine?
Sure, I'm going to leave my camera off because I think that'll freeze me up. So it's been dry here in Western Colorado. We've had a few fires already. The largest of them right out by the Utah border burned 1,500 acres. There's been a couple up towards Parachute, and a couple right along the highway or railroad track. So it's definitely concerning. Our humidity one day was down to 9. So you can kind of see with the winds that we've been having and the low humidity that sort of any little spark is going to catch and go with the tinder dry forage. Cows are mostly up in the high country at this point. The rivers are running high. Even I was up dropping my cows off, and Capitol Creek was higher than I've ever seen it, even from the heavy snow year previously. It's higher this year. And there's also more snow still on Mount Sopris and Capitol Peak that hasn't melted. I was up on the Grand Mesa a couple days ago, and there's still quite a bit of snow in the trees, and the ground is wet in a lot of places. So we're still having snow melt. So the river, I think, peaked this past week, and so it'll be falling. They've been doing releases from the dams for the fish. So, and I'm not sure if that's continuing or if that's done now. I haven't seen the river in the last couple days. On a personal note, my dog caught mange from the foxes because she likes to go down the fox dens. So she has mange. I got mange. So we're all being treated with Iverneck right now. So that's fun. And then I don't know if I told you last time, I don't know where we were, but I was working with NRCS on a vents project up in Routt County. And apparently there's been a manufacturing problem with collars that hit us right where when people were starting to collar their cattle or ordering collars. And so our project and other people's projects were unable to proceed because we couldn't get operational collars. So I had everyone turn their cows out, and luckily we were able to get a year extension on that project. So we'll be back at it next year. I'm going to deploy the base stations this fall, keep the batteries out, and then we'll put the batteries in early, get the collars to everybody early, and be back at it in the spring. Everybody's done with first cutting of everything here. Some of the weed is already down and gone. Oh, cherries and apricots are ripe. The cherries are real good this year, and there seem to be plentiful. So you eat them while you can. And that's it for me.
Right. Thanks, Catherine. I don't even know what you're going through trying to treat yourself and your dog and everything. So bless you. That sounds ugly.
It's very itchy.
Yeah, is it? Okay. Let's see, Elena.
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm out here on a tractor as well, and I don't know if people can hear me well.
We can, thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah. So yeah, personally, just I have continued to have problems with sheep. That has not been great. There's nothing really we can do about it. So the vets have tried to help me, and it's just kind of one of those things. They get diseases, and sometimes you just have to ride the storm because there's not a lot of research into, you know, how to treat sheep and stuff like that. So anyway, I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. One of them that I kind of wanted to bring the CDA's attention to, and I'm not involved directly, I'm kind of on the peripheral, but CSU is running a trial right now, and I'm really excited about it because it's on using wool pellets as a soil amendment. And wool pellet, you know, so kind of the history is through COVID and just through life, most of the wool industry is based in China. So most of American wool is raised here and then shipped across seas and then taken to China and put into products and then shipped back or whatever. It's a very globalized supply chain. But through COVID, most of those supply chains have kind of disappeared, and I don't know what's going on, but basically most ranchers are sitting on years of wool. And that's why there's been this big move in the industry away from wool sheep into hair sheep. And hair sheep are great. There's nothing wrong with them. But the only thing I find sad is that, you know, sheep are great because they have more than one product. But with the hair sheep, it's only a meat animal. It's not going to produce wool. And I think wool's this really great product that has kind of been really marginalized in the textile industry and through other things. So I'm really excited about the work CSU is starting. But basically what they're doing is they're taking wool and you have to chop it into small pieces, and then you pelletize it. And it actually has natural fertility. So it has nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, and then because we live on the Alamosa River drainage Superfund site, ours has tons of micronutrients. We've got like iron and a whole bunch of stuff. And so they're testing it to see the benefits, especially for soil moisture, just because wool has, you know, think about it like a big sponge. See if it will help with aeration and compaction and also water retention. So that was a project that I just kind of wanted the CDA to know about, because I think I see it as like a potential market. And then also it really ties in with the climate health and the soil health work. Unfortunately, the studies are kind of lacking. Like I've been kind of doing my own research on it, and there's not a lot out there. It is showing, you know, of course, the benefits with the fertility, that's obvious because, you know, you're getting the nutrients from that. But as far as like the water retention and all these other properties, that's why CSU is doing the study, is to trying to kind of expand our understanding of application rates and kind of the missing information. And I think there's also some interest. I was down in Flagstaff, and one of my brother-in-law, he actually does research on forestry, and they're really interested in using the pellets as well in reforestation projects, because they're trying biochar right now, but they're talking about maybe looking at some other products of like, if you can plant it when you do reforestation projects, could you really help that root get established, especially if it holds moisture better. So yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I'm curious. I have some of my own, but I'm just retailing them through my website and through my own like avenues. I'm really interested in the science, but I'm not really pursuing that part because obviously I don't have time to do a research project. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of, Kate, I wanted to, and I know I can't have my camera on because I'm here on the field, but I just think it's a really cool concept, and it would really help because there is this huge bottleneck with this product. And then also, I really hope that we're going to see what makes sense that you would see the benefits as far as soil health. Problems we had, it doesn't apply easily. It may not be great for like big field application. That's one of our concerns, is that the wind kind of blew it, and we know we live in the San Luis Valley. There's tons of wind, and so that part was kind of, I guess, humbling, realizing that it may be something more to be used in forestry and maybe like vegetable and fruit production. But maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe we'll find out, because we did it out on some potato ground. Maybe we'll find out. It wasn't me, but I was kind of part of it, but they did it out on some potato ground. So hopefully we see some outcomes. And then the next thing was, I just wanted to say very happy reviews of the CDA's organic certifiers. Just they're really, like, all the farmers who work with them just find them really, they're trying to help the farmer. They're not trying to just, give them like problems, and there just seems to be really collaborative attitude with that certification process, and people seem really happy with it. And like I said, all the certifiers that come down seem to be really like collaborative with the producer. And then the only thing that I did think was important to note is that I think, and I don't really know because I'm kind of still learning all the programs of the CDA, how that works, but they did say that the fees are a little higher than other certifiers. So that was something I thought was important to note, just because I know that's also how the CDA gets some income. And so I don't know, with a more affordable price, we might be able to get more people buying into that, because we do Oregon Tilt, that's our certifier, and their cost is significantly lower than the CDA's cost. So anyway, that's something that I thought would be important to kind of think about. And other than that, I don't know, it's pretty out here. I'm just out here in on my favorite field in the farm, and just lots of cottonwood fluff is blowing in the wind, and it's really pretty. So I'm just enjoying it. The river, unfortunately, we've lost our, I don't know what's happening, and I'm sure it has something to do with climate change, but basically our runoff just comes off really fast, and then we don't have a lot of residual runoff. So that's unfortunate, because most of the junior water rights are off now in the river, and it doesn't look like they're going to come back on again. So if we get some rain, that'd be great. But snow melt wise, we thought we were in really good shape. Like, we're like, oh, we got a good, percentage up there. But I think just those faster runoffs, just they don't have that sustainability to keep these ditches open. So yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you, Elena. Look forward to seeing you next month. I see Courtney's online, so I'm going to jump back over to our agenda and let her do the protection agent confirmations.
Great. Thanks, Colleen. And thanks for keeping me in the loop, guys. I know the schedule is a little fluctuant some days, so I'm glad this worked out for everybody. I'm Courtney Deal. I'm the program manager for the Bureau of Animal Protection. And I am here to present 2 potential BAP agents for the Ag Commission's consideration. You should have a link to their applications and can review at your leisure, but we have 2 from the same agency, which is kind of unique. Also 2 from La Plata County, which I think is these are our first 2 BAP agents from this region in Colorado. Our first agent for your consideration is Jackson Tidwell, and he's currently employed at the La Plata County Humane Society, which is a nonprofit. Prior to joining La Plata County, Jackson worked as a field operations officer in Lubbock, Texas, after completing the in-house animal control officer, or ACO, training, which is pretty extensive. It's a very detailed, very lengthy process. He then worked for the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region as an animal law enforcement officer before joining La Plata County. Jackson wants to become a BAP agent because he wants to provide this service to the community, which is indeed pretty grossly underserved by BAP agents, as well as law enforcement officers with this type of experience and training. So he would be an asset to his county. Our second agent for consideration is Sydney Arnold, who's also with the La Plata County Humane Society. As part of our review of credentials, we do verify that they are currently employed with these agencies, which is a requirement for a BAP agent commission to become active. Sydney has been an animal protection officer since 2022 and has undergone extensive law enforcement and cruelty and investigations training. When I was reviewing her file, they have to have 40 hours to qualify. Sydney probably has 150 hours. She has gone above and beyond. She shares the desire with Jackson to provide this educated service to her area, which is very underserved. I found it interesting. She states she wants to protect animals, but also the people. She wants to bring a balanced voice to animal welfare and recognize solid animal husbandry when it exists. So I was impressed with both of their applications, and we hereby present them to the commission for their review.
Thank you, Courtney. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion for the commission to confirm these applications.
At this time, I move that the commission confirm these applicants to become Bureau of Animal Protection agents as recommended by the CDA staff.
Thank you, Simon. I have a
This is
motion. Do I
Catherine, I'll
have?
This is David. I'll second that.
I've got 2 seconds from Catherine and David. Thank you both. It's been moved and seconded to confirm these applications. Are there any discussions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your meeting.
We will, thanks. Keep watching my screen jump around here. Harrison, where are you? Are you here? There you are. You're on the phone. Can you give us an update on your area? Maybe. Harrison, are you available? Okay, silence is golden, huh? Let's see, how are we doing as reaching Bethany? All right.
Bethany is not on, but Madison
Okay.
will be able to provide
Oh.
an update for her.
All right. Madison, I'll let you do that and then I will give mine. And I'm not seeing a need for a break. I think if we can just keep moving. So Madison, if you can give us outreach opportunities tours and CDA public forums.
Okay, thank you all. So some information to share for the July public forum meeting. We do have some confirmed times and locations, which is great news. So we will be having an Ag Commission happy hour from 3:30 to 5 at the Cove Farm Brewery and Colorado Farm Brewery. We will be providing this information additionally after this meeting to let everyone know. But we will be really kicking off the forum around 5:45. Be doing a review of our programs like we do, taking Q&A from the community, and the forum we expect to conclude at about 6:35. And so the forum is going to be at the Rio Grande Farm Park. That has been confirmed as well. So we'll get some more information as that comes through. As for the tours that are going to be taking place that morning, we are still tentative on those, but we do have 4 lined up that we're hoping to finalize this next week. And so as moving on from the Ag Forum, that's going to be on Tuesday, July 9th. We have some additional great opportunities for engagement with the screening of Legacy on July 18th. This has been confirmed in Monte Vista at the Sky High Complex. And so we are also planning additional screening opportunities for this July 15th in Sterling and August 1st in Durango. So again, we'll be following up with more information on details and timing and specific locations for these screenings. And those are the updates I have for our public outreach and engagement and ag forum. But if you have any questions, please let me know.
Great. Thank you, Madison. Harrison, see your hand.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
You're back. You're on.
Okay. Sorry, the Zoom wasn't loading, and you know how it goes. Hey, welcome everybody to Delta County, Colorado, where we are on the verge of cherry harvest. I'll start the video. We're going through and doing a last minute thin on cherries, which is not typically done at this time of year, but they're so dang heavy on the trees that we needed to do a little bit of last minute thinning. So all in all, the crop looks great. The weather is great. Palisades started picking cherries last week. We anticipate to start picking cherries in a week from now. But really strong crop, really good weather so far, and just trying to stay on top of everything, keep the weeds down, and keep markets excited. In terms of Western Slope news, yeah, it's really honored to have received an FLSP award, the Farm Labor and Stabilization Program. This was a grant program that, to my understanding, began as an attempt to curb some migration from the Northern Triangle countries, and sort of morphed into a program targeting worker improvement projects, worker empowerment projects, things like that. We applied for the mid-tier, and we're one of 11 farms, I think, in Colorado that were awarded. Just looking at the list, Colorado received more awards than any other state. We had 11. California only had 9. So not sure what happened there, but good for us. Quite a few folks out in our area did, as well as a number of farms on the Front Range as well. It was neat. Secretary Vilsack came out and presented at Rancho Durazno last week. A number of orchards in the area, as well as Catherine and other farms were there as well. Speaking to the other project that Kate alluded to, yeah, DMEA, our REA, was awarded a $70 million loan. 40%, I believe, or 40 million of that, not 40%, 40 million of that should be, it is anticipated to be forgiven. But it's essentially to create a big solar array for us that should account for about 10% of the load that DMEA provides. That's in addition to another project that's, I think, 4 times the size, an 80 megawatt project that Guzman Electric started, and I think has changed hands since. So we've got a real big push out here in Delta County for local generation, which is neat to see. We've had really stable rates here in the county, and you know, in addition to greening up our electric supply, also stabilizing rates and stabilizing that power supply is really important. So, and for those who don't know, my wife is the president of the board at that REA, at our local REA. So, water out here is holding strong. At least on our canal, we're anticipating a pretty good year, and I think many of the ditches are anticipating strong surface water, which is really all we have. So one nice thing not to be too worried about this year, Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention, and probably I'm going to try to attend a meeting or two, but for Joe, there's some kind of new ag association forming out here on the west side. It was described to me as a ag council for the western slope. I don't know a whole lot of the details about it, but some significant people are involved, and I'll try to get more info and send it to Joe and to Kate to have on our radar. Sorry, I got an info sheet about it, but unfortunately don't have it on me and don't remember the exact details. I guess last but not least, I'd appreciate insight if we have any. This Dolores Monument deal is I don't think overly contentious, but certainly not overly placid. And I know there are ag voices at the table. I have not been hugely engaged with it, but if the commission has an opinion or wants to share insights that reflect the views of the Polis administration, I'd be happy to hear it.
And Harrison, on that front, I have been in touch with Senator Bennett's team down in the Southwest. I know they've been on Dolores River issues for a long, long time. I'm happy to follow up.
Yeah,
on
I
it.
ran into Hillary.
Say that again.
Oh, yeah, totally. Part of it was I ran into Hillary the other day, and that's why I started thinking about it.
Harrison, is that new ag thing the thing that Janie Van Winkle's a fellow in? Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, the new ag thing is the thing that Janie was handing out flyers for. But
yeah, there's a
but,
meeting on Thursday of this week, I believe, at the Mesa County Fairgrounds.
Okay, if you have that information, will you shoot it over to Joe? And then, sorry, Kate, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Not a problem. Thanks, Harrison.
Wait, I didn't hear whether you had an opinion on the Dolores monument.
Oh, yeah, apologies. Thought you were kind of putting that out there for the commission. I don't personally, and CDA does not personally, or right now, have an opinion on it. I think I've just been talking to folks just because I keep up on stuff in the Southwest regularly, but it has not crossed like our table as an agency. So that's where if the commission wants to know more about the monument proposal and the work that's been going on for years on the Dolores, happy to get you all up to speed and talk more about the issue, but it has not become an issue that CDA is taking a position on.
Okay, and it doesn't strike me as something that we should have a position on or should be thinking about, but it's a current event and one I figured I'd like to get your take on.
Kate, this is Simon. When I was on the Dolores Water Conservancy Board, it was something we talked about quite a bit. Maybe there's an opportunity, if you could in the future, just give everybody an update on where it's at as far as where it started and where they're at maybe to date. And that'll get everybody on the commission kind of up to date with what is happening on the Lower Dolores.
Yep, happy to do that, Simon. I think that makes sense.
Thank you.
Great. Any other thoughts for today? So my update, I guess I'll start with the bad and the sad first. I know that there was a storm about last week that passed through Anton, Colorado, which is in south of Akron, about 40 miles. And what my understanding was there was 65,000 acres of cropland that got hit, and 30 to 35 acres was planted to wheat that got hit pretty bad as well. So think about northeastern Colorado and eastern Colorado. I haven't seen anything like this happen before, and I don't think they have either. The pictures I get from people and my family is just wow. Johnstown and Greeley did get hail also about a week and a half ago. Some sugar beets and corn got hit. The city of Johnstown, we went over to there, the town of Johnstown, and leaves were everywhere. But I think it's where things could probably bounce back, so that's good. Unfortunately, the wheat, the grains probably took the worst hit. Around here, the dryland wheat is turning. The irrigated wheat is still pretty green, so it's going to be a while. We are hoping we do not have any issues with custom crews that we did last year, so time will tell on that. The grains have went through their first irrigation. The corn is ditched and it's being irrigated. Beets are looking good. That's out there also being irrigated. Us personally, we've had our first cutting of hay, and so we went through that. I've also heard that there's grasshoppers out in eastern Colorado that it almost looks like the ground is moving, is what's being reported, which is really scary to visualize something like that. We are still in the river as far as irrigation water. I don't think for many more days, but that's a good length of time for us to be in the river and not going to other types of water. Personally, I've been working with Common Ground Colorado still. We had a meeting this morning trying to put that back together with the Nationals and Nick with Colorado Corn, and we're looking to hopefully pull in a few more other commodities and making this volunteer group really get back on the forefront of what we've been working with. I too am planning on being in Burlington next week, so I hope to see some of you there. I think that's about for me. Happy Juneteenth tomorrow. Anything for the good of the order. Also, Harrison, congratulations on the awards. That's wonderful. Anything, Ari, Kate, Madison, Jordan, commission members for the good of the order? No. Okay. Just a reminder, next meeting is July 10th, pre-meeting July 9th with a forum in San Luis Valley with Jeff and Elena. And also fill out that Google form to assist with the Hemp Advisory Board selection. And I think those are my reminders. Anybody have anything to share for the good of the order? Well, we are done early, which is okay because everybody's busy. May I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting?
Madam Chair, I so move we adjourn.
Thank you, David. I've had a
And as you can
motion.
see- I was just gonna say on a side note, look at this field of corn behind me that I'm cultivating. This is one of them that's been devastated out here, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks a little bare compared to what you probably normally expect it to look like, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. David has given a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I think that was Harrison on the second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The June meeting is adjourned. I look forward to seeing all you in San Luis Valley, and if not in person, on the screen. Everybody have a great day and travel safe wherever
you.
you are traveling.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Thanks, everyone.